Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 48 of the Wheels to Walking podcast, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a guy not in a wheelchair.
What up? You know, that originated, I was listening back to some of the old episodes, and that was originated back when I used to do the opener, and I'd say, like, podcast with a guy in a wheelchair, guy not in a wheelchair, and you'd be like, what up?
Yeah, because I was the guy not in the wheelchair.
You'd be like, what up? I'm not the guy in the wheelchair.
Well, but do you know why it switched?
Because you do better openings than I do.
No, it was because in the beginning, you did say the episode number, and then at some point, you stopped saying the episode number. And then I was like, why did you stop saying the episode number? And you're like, no, I didn't. And then you tried to say the episode number, and you kept flubbing it. So you're like, you do it. And I'm like, okay. And so I did it. And I'm like, welcome to episode 49 of the Wheels to Walking podcast. And then you just did the what up, because that's what happens.
That's just what happens.
So it works out.
Dude, isn't it crazy to think that this time last week we were still in LA? Like,
yeah.
Isn't that weird? It's both simultaneously. We got back yesterday and last year. Like, it feels very strange.
Yeah, it is weird when you travel and do like so many things in like one condensed unit. It's always
and quickly.
It's always weird too when you travel on one day and you're like, I woke up this morning in a different state. Or like I fell asleep, and now like when we took the red eye from LA, it's like I last night I was in California, and now I'm kind of waking up and I'm still on a plane, and I'm like, it's just so weird to think about the concept of actually being able to jump into a metal tube and travel across the country is like absurd. The fact that it flies. We can fly.
Yeah. It's like, let's go into a metal tube that's going 500 miles an hour at 38,000 feet.
Yeah, because I'm like thinking like, okay, so if I wanted to drive my car to Venice Beach, it's gonna take a couple days at least.
One day, 18 hours. Like, it's gonna take a long.
Yeah, like it would be a multiple day trip, and
4 hours. 4 hours. From
on a plane.
From taking off to landing, that doesn't account, like TSA and driving there and parking, all that bullshit.
That's why, like, short distance stuff, like in Europe especially, like you're looking at the train versus plane stuff. You're like, oh, the train takes longer, but it's like when you factor in getting there early and doing this and going through security and blah 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 blah, it's like especially Madrid to Barcelona, most people that make that commute do it by train, because it's just like, you get on the train, you're there, you can come back in one day. But with the plane, it's just such a freaking hassle.
I think about even closer places like, I don't know, Charlotte or Nashville. Like, they're both about 4 hours. And it's like, okay, I can wake up 2 hours before my flight, go to the air, drive to the airport, park, go through TSA, check in from my flight, board, fly for 45 minutes, land, get out,
an Uber.
Get my Uber, take it to my destination. It's like, that's like 6 hours. Like, just drive. Like, why? Like, people that fly to close places really confuse me. I'm like, just go. Just get in your car and drive.
And for the people listening that aren't in the United States, like, our train system, especially down here in the South, is like non-existent.
I mean, anywhere. The only train system we have is Amtrak, and that's garbage. Like,
it's garbage. It's overpriced too.
It's way overpriced. It's very, very slow, and it runs on the same tracks that like freight runs on. So you have to like play ball with the freight trains as well. So that's, I mean, it's more of like a novelty. Like, we took the Amtrak from Atlanta to New York City. We chugga it away over the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think it's
cool.
more practical if you're like up in the northeast side of things, like New York and New Jersey and that type of stuff. It's more
like
practical.
taking a train to Philadelphia or Boston or Chicago or whatever.
Trains are fun though. I like trains.
I don't know if I've ever been on a train. I mean, I've been on like the MARTA and the plane train, but neither of those count.
Yeah,
in my opinion, like, I've never
been real train.
Yes, I've never been on a proper.
It's a cool way to see the like countryside, because typically when you're driving, you're seeing like highway stuff, which you do get to see some stuff,
but you see billboards and you see like convenience stores, and honestly, they're gonna intentionally make the roads on like the flattest, most boringest. Like, they're not gonna. There's no like.
Same with trains, because there's no like real value of like the scenery, but at least you do get more like nature and stuff. I feel like a lot.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, the public transportation here in America is like just not that great, because we're so spread out, and everyone has cars, so like no one really uses it. So there's just not that much. But I hope that the Boring Company is successful in doing their thing.
Well, I think they will be, because like LA was built on cars. Like, this city, like all of LA was made for automotive. Like, it was intentionally, when that city was kind of growing up, was when cars were around. So they're like, cool, it's not for pedestrians. Like New York City, that's for pedestrians. Like it's for pedestrians and trains. It's like LA is all about for the cars. But I mean, honestly, like you could take a plane from LA to San Francisco faster than you could drive from LA to LA. Like you could literally it's very clusterfucky out there.
Yes. Very flustercucky.
Cucky, you say?
You hear about this bull semen?
Yeah. So I just want to read a headline to you guys.
What a segue.
I know. Let's read a headline, and I want you guys to just think about the mind of the firefighters as they are heading towards
what they're heading towards.
Massive semen explosion after blaze hits bull artificial insemination facility. Firefighters forced to dodge projectiles. We got a code red at the cum factory, guys. Suit up.
Sounds like a sticky situation.
Yeah.
I saw this tweet.
I mean, it's in Australia, so, you know.
It says, we live in a world where there was a semen explosion at a cum factory, and every publication is trying to use words that don't make it sound like there was a semen explosion at a cum factory. That's hilarious.
I mean, could you? I mean, it's literally like organic material. It's potentially biohazard. I mean, it's bodily fluids. It's blood, piss, shit, jizz. Like it's all the same. You know, like cool. And if it comes from another animal, that doesn't make it any better.
Here's some lists of alternate headlines: Jizzplosion, expensive semen everywhere as far as the eye can see. Bullcocky, semen. Any bull sperm lately? That's not that good. Seen any bull sperm lately? Semen any bull sperm lately? Anyways,
what's interesting is like how expensive I bet that fire costs. Like I bet probably like a little 16-ounce vial, like that's enough to shove inside like a chick cow. You know, I bet one of those vials from like a steed bull, you know, it's probably worth anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. Like I bet like. I know horse jizz, especially if they're racehorses, like racehorse jizz is like 50,000, 100,000. Like in order to like get a mare pregnant from like a Kentucky Derby winning like male horse, like you pay tons of money.
Yeah. I don't have enough information to conjecture about that. I didn't think that bull semen was that valuable. But
dude, aren't you on Farmers Only? Can't you hit up some chicks that you've been hollering at on Farmers Only?
Yeah, I'm trying to inseminate them with mine. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I'm not trying to inseminate anyone.
Would you, if you went to like a bull factory or if you went to one of these places and the girl was like, yeah, we need to go milk one of our bulls, and if you successfully milk the bull, I'll milk you. Would you? Would you jerk off a bull to get your bull jerked off?
No.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Any sane guy would do that.
I guess it depends.
I don't think. No.
I guess it depends.
I'm not trying to jerk off a bull. That also sounds just dangerous. I'm not trying to get kicked by a bull. I'm not trying to be anywhere near a bull, honestly. And if like.
I'm sure they have machines that do that
I'll never get that image out of my head.
No, it has to be done by hand.
Also, whatever. What? Dude,
have you not seen the Jackass movies? They literally have this like little tube thing that they
This is a factory.
Oh yeah, that's like the fake pussy.
Yeah, like a fleshlight for horses.
I
know. And bulls.
I don't know enough about this bull semen factory.
A little collection cup.
Okay, here's my thing. I'm not trying to do that, and I'm not trying to have that image ingrained in my head for the rest of my life. Just have some random farmer chick.
All you have to do is touch an animal dick, and then your dick gets touched. Huh?
I don't want to do that.
I mean, but
you scratch his balls, you get your balls scratched.
You said any sane person would do that.
I don't know, man. Let me rephrase that.
AJ, what's your vote on this?
Any single guy should probably do that.
I guess if you're scratching someone's balls, you get your balls scratched back. But
I mean, if she was like a hot farmer chick, not like a redneck.
If she was
farmer.
hot,
yeah, I was saying that too. It depends on the chick.
It depends on the chick. I don't know,
like
man.
if she's like drop dead gorgeous, of course. But if it's some like, hey, you want to jerk off to this bull and I'll suck you off? It's a no.
She's missing some teeth, chewing some tobacco at the same time.
Yeah. I'd rather just like hire a prostitute. That's a thing you can do.
That is also a thing. That is also a thing. I saw that in Canada, the tax code for being a psychic and for being a prostitute is the same tax code. And I bet prostitutes go in hoping that no one thinks that they're a psychic. And I bet psychics go in hoping that nobody thinks that they're a prostitute. I bet they
go in where?
Like to the tax place, like to wherever Canada, like whatever tax code you fall under, like psychics and prostitutes both fall under the same tax code. So I bet all the prostitutes are like, I'm not a psychic, and all the psychics are like, I'm not a prostitute.
Well, the psychics don't go in thinking that, hoping, like they're not nervous walking in there because they're psychics and they can read the people's mind and they know whether they think they're a prostitute or not.
That's right. I forgot. Psychics are mind readers. Yes.
And so they go in and they go, oh, you're thinking I'm a prostitute. I'm not. I'm a psychic. That's how I know.
That's how I know.
And they were like, oh, good, because I was thinking you're a prostitute. And then they walk in. They're like, oh, whew, I thought you might have thought I was a prostitute, but you don't think that. I'm a psychic, by the way. You're thinking that I know that, and I also know that because I'm a psychic.
Dude, this conversation is so whack.
I know, bro. How did we get here? How did we get here? Well,
we got here because a bull semen factory exploded.
Yeah.
And on that note, I don't have anything else to add about bull semen, so we can move on.
I can add about like a little bit about the psychic stuff. It's like they'll make like 100 guesses, and if one guess is correct, then all of a sudden everyone's like, ooh, they're right all the time. It's like no one counts the misses, they only count the hits.
Speaking of which, I have a good transition from this. So, you know how Gary Vaynerchuk like makes like tons of predictions, and then of course he'll do callbacks to like all of the stuff that he got right?
In 1997, I said that Instagram, which didn't even exist, was going to be bought by Facebook that also didn't exist.
Okay.
But what I didn't tell you is I made 49 other predictions.
On Viddler.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy on TikTok, his name is AJ Comedy, actually, which is pretty funny. If you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is for this next segment, I'm sorry, but this is amazing. I'm going to play it for you guys.
Let me see this.
This one is called Gary V. Patience.
Are you losing belief, or do you wish it was happening faster?
Yeah, I wish I was like seeing actual profit faster, you know?
Well, then you need to be more patient.
Yeah, but Gary, my rent is due in like a week.
Well, then your landlord needs to be more patient.
Yeah, but like if he doesn't collect the rent, then the bank's gonna foreclose on the property.
Well, then the bank needs to be more patient.
Okay, but if the bank can't get the property back, then they're gonna go under and lose their standing with the Fed.
Okay, well then the Fed, needs to be more patient.
Okay, but Gary, if the credit all defaults and the Fed goes under and the banks lose their credit rating, the whole system collapses.
Perspective.
Wow.
My favorite is the fact that he like wore the beanie, the one defining thing with between the two characters was the beanie.
Another thing too is like his face muscles are exactly the same.
Dude, when it first started off, I thought it was a voiceover. Like I thought it was Gary V's voice. It's that good. Here's another one that's pretty amazing. Gary V talks to Jordan Peterson.
So Jordan, I love the fucking shit you say about hierarchies. So where do you think I rank, on some real shit?
Well, man, to that I would say, you're very high in conscientiousness, but you're also high in openness, and that combination, man, that's lethal, man.
Fucking love it. And I'm the most fucking focused fucker on this fucking earth, okay?
Well, Gary, you gotta be careful. If you're too obsessed with order, you become a bloody tyrant. So,
I get it, but I'm also obsessed with fucking kindness and empathy, okay?
Well, I didn't say you don't want to be dangerous.
That's fucking confusing as shit, and I love it. Yup. Okay.
That's so accurate. That guy is so good. Follow that guy on TikTok, AJ_comedy. I was just scrolling through his page. He has so many good impressions.
Yeah, it's fucking good. I saw
you're gonna become a bloody tyrant.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast and someone's like, "Yeah, I heard this quote from a personal development personality. I don't remember who it was." And they said, "Fuck your feelings." And someone from the back goes, "Gary V." It was Gary V. Gary V. He just said, "Fuck." It was Gary V.
It was Gary V. It was Gary V. Or it was the MF CEO guy,
Andy Frisella.
Yeah.
Pokemon cards, yard sales, flipping.
Dude, he has one about that. It's so funny.
No.
Dude, that guy's channel on TikTok is so funny. He also like he'll collab with other impersonators and do like fake Zoom interviews with them. Like be like, okay. It's so funny, dude. Like he did one with this girl who's imitating Kourtney Kardashian, and it's so good. It's so good. But anyways, I just figured because we talk about Gary Vee a decent bit on here, you guys would appreciate that.
Yeah, I
Perspective.
Gary Vee is one of these people that I'm like, I'm into Gary Vee for like a week, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And then I reach a point, I'm like, hey, Gary Vee, shut up. shut up. You said the same thing 95 times. Shut up.
Repurpose content, bro. I say the same things because I make one large piece of content and then my team makes it into 9,000 pieces of content.
I mean,
that was a bad Gary Vee impression.
I mean, but it is very true that he definitely will take like one speech and I will see clips from that same speech.
Empathy, brother. Empathy. Perspective.
You got to get the hand.
Yeah, AJ's doing the...
Every picture he has his hands together.
He has,
and he bites his lip.
Yeah, dude. And he wears a beanie. No, but that guy AJ Comedy, he did one where it has the little like at the beginning of it. It's so funny.
It's like I saw one. It was like I actually made it to the end of one of his videos once, and it was like, be the first person to comment in the first 3 seconds to be the first top 3 pinned comments. And I'm like, I don't think anyone's really making it to the end of these videos, dude. Like,
I've made it. I've made it to the end. I got pinned one time. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't.
There's always these.
You ever
like,
listen to his the Gary Vee audio experience? It's like his podcast.
No,
dude, it's
just him ranting.
No, it's just him repurposing content. Like his team hosts it, and they're like, "Hi, this is Steven from Team Gary, and today we're playing you a clip from his speech at this or whatever." And then at the end, it's like, "What's up, guys? It's Gary. Make sure you share this content if it was valuable to you. Make sure you tweet me and blah blah blah." Like it's just so funny because he talks about how audio is like so important, and obviously we agree, but it's just funny how it's not even like a real podcast. It's just conversations and things that they throw into the Gary Vee audio experience. But
yeah,
I mean, it works. I listen to it sometimes.
You know, it's funny in the world of gurus, or internet gurus, I totally ebb and flow with them all the time. And even last week, I was totally like making fun of this guy named Charlie Rocket because I heard him on a podcast, and I totally like goofed on him. And then what he said like stuck in my head, and then I went back and listened to that episode again, and then I went back and listened to his original episode that I had heard him on before, and I'm like, fuck, I kind of like this guy now. Like shit. Like I was just making fun of him last week, but here I am like spending another like 3 hours with the guy, just talking about it. And it's one of these things that like a lot of his stuff makes sense until it doesn't make sense. Like it's on point until it's not.
Well,
and it's you can agree with it and you can be inspired and you can be motivated and you get excited. But then when he breaks it on down to be like, all you got to do is think of something in your mind and write it down on paper and then tell yourself it's already done. Time just hasn't caught up yet. And I'm like, cool. I'm going to say I'm an astronaut.
What happens? Well, you have to believe it.
Okay, well, what happens if I believe it and I still don't turn into an astronaut? Do I just say, charge it to the game and move on?
Well,
I think you need to be more patient.
I think it's just a level of like believing in yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that is kind of like...
Well, why didn't you become an astronaut?
Well, NASA said that I couldn't because I'm a paraplegic.
Well, NASA needs to be more patient.
Well, one of the things that Charlie Rocket really does is he writes his dreams down a lot. He carries his dream journal around. He journals a lot. Like he's all about dream journaling and like talking about things. And like, you know, he talks about quantum. Like a lot of like...
some heady shit.
Yeah.
Took my dream journal. Before this episode, we were talking about Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh my god!
Is that from Spy Kids or is that something totally different?
So Spy Kids, the director of Spy Kids also directed Shark Boy and Lava Girl, from what I understand, right? And it's the same studio.
I can check, but
it's Dimension Studios or whatever.
Yeah.
So it looks
what's his
just
face?
like the same thing.
It's the dude that always uses Danny Trejo in like every movie.
Oh yeah.
What's that guy's name?
You guys want to hear
I
something?
can't remember.
You guys want to hear something sexy? Check this. Listen. That is a cold brew nitrogenating right here.
I thought it was bull semen exploding.
Yo,
Nickelodeon.
Hold on. For those of you on YouTube, hi, welcome to my original series.
Did you ever see the?
No, it's like my name's. It goes. This is Richard Corbett, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Hi, I'm Lizzie McGuire, and you're watching Disney Channel. You know, if you actually like trace
the lines,
it's
off.
It's so
it's
off.
really terrible.
Did you? There's like the outtakes of Hillary Duff doing it, and oh my god,
It's like a zigzagging in. It's like
so
she looks
bad.
miserable too.
Well, the thing is they're using a green screen wand, so they can make the tip of the wand do whatever they want. But it's so fun. Whatever they want.
whatever they want. Yum, 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 yum,
But what were you talking about before you creamed your cold brew?
I mean, I was talking about like Charlie Rocket and like journaling and
Quantum. Oh yeah, dream journals.
I've been doing a lot of journaling recently. Like you know what's so crazy? I was just talking about like how we were literally in LA like a week ago. And
whoa, dude, that's trippy.
And last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was so lit. Like we were so inspired, we were so stoked, we were so motivated. Like we were connecting, we were networking, we were hanging out. Like it was awesome. Like I probably had one of the best times I had in a really long time.
Same.
And then I came home, and this Monday and this Tuesday and this Wednesday, I have not been this depressed in a very, very, very long time. Like I straight up went from like a peak to a valley like very, very quickly. And I'm like, holy fuck, what just happened to me? Like this is concerning. Like I don't like this. And I ended up like, we talked for like 4 hours, and I went and talked to my sister for like 4 hours, and I went and talked to like a Nos for like another 4 hours. And like, I've been like just journaling my ass off. Like every 3 minutes or so, every 3 hours or so, I'm breaking out my phone and just like checking in with myself to kind of be like what I feel, what I don't feel, what I like, what I don't like. And dude, I'm just at like, I don't want to get into all the details here on the podcast because that would literally take up the whole episode. But I mean, you know what I'm going through. But it's like, I literally have like 5 or 6, like, let's call it 4 or 5, like pretty major crossroads.
Yeah.
Like all happening at the exact same fucking time. And I'm kind of like pretty much not paralyzed, but I feel like really stuck and powerless and like unable to do.
You feel like you have a spinal cord injury?
Yes. You do not have a spinal cord injury.
Your level is L2. That means you have peripheral nerve damage. Oh my god! I feel like the only people that know that are the OGs. I feel like we showed that on the old podcast.
That was on our Patreon podcast.
Yeah,
that was like legit.
Yeah. Anyways, to the Patreon podcast.
You know, this is our 88th podcast together. Do you know that? That includes the 3 that I've been on your show too.
Wow!
Like we're almost at 100 episodes.
Wow!
Wow!
Wow! Oh!
Wow!
AJ!
Wow!
I just remembered.
Wow!
We did an episode 0 together of the Wheels Talking podcast, so it will be 50.
Wow.
Shit, that is.
Should we break that news?
Wow.
I mean, you
Or
kind of.
should we wait till the next one?
I just think next. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It'll be the final.
Yeah. Well, I guess yeah. But anyways, I was telling you the other day, I was like, I do not envy your position right now. Like, there's so many.
I do not envy my position. Like,
you can't envy something you already have. Envy means you want it. You already got it.
I said I do not envy my position. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I know. Oh,
yeah.
you don't want it.
I think so. My life in general,
something you don't have, I guess.
Like my day to day probably consists of like 5 unique but pretty consistent things. You know, parameters, scopes, perspectives. Like where I put my time and attention are in about the same 5 things every week. Like pretty consistently, that's just all it is. And it seems like all 5 of those things are all kind of like, I don't like to use the word crumbling because that feels like it's bad, but like very painful changes. Like a lot of decisions have to be made. A lot of like learning has to be made on my end. A lot of growing, a lot of developing. It's like, it sucks. Like,
yeah,
like
there's like so many things we could be like. We've been having like crazy conversations, but we can't really discuss any of it on the podcast. Like normally when we come on the podcast, we can just talk about like whatever we're thinking.
Whenever we want, yeah.
And like we talk pretty openly about what we want to talk about, but there's a lot of stuff that we probably want to talk about right now that we just like can't. And you guys will find out eventually.
It's not really can't. It's also like don't want to, and it's also like these aren't your problems. I'm not going to make my problems your problems.
It's not even that necessarily. It's mainly like we have to make certain decisions about things, and some of those decisions involve telling people things that haven't been told yet. So it's like we can't tell the public before we tell like the closest people in our lives.
Yeah, we can't be like, Rebecca and come on the podcast and be like, I'm on a large podcast platform and I'm coming out as a devotee, but like didn't tell any of her friends first. Like it's kind of like a similar situation where like there are so many fucking moving parts. Like I've been talking about this for way too long where I'm always like, I need a therapist. But it's gotten so bad that I'm like, I don't just need a therapist. I need like 4 sessions in 2 weeks. Like I need to just like brain vomit and just like dump all of this like bleh.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it could be. I mean, honestly. Yeah.
So what I did was, I'm just kidding.
Nah, I've got a therapist that already see, I was actually considering them because I get ads for them all the time. I know people that use them. They're totally affordable and accessible, and it's exactly the kind of like solution to the problem that I have.
You already have a good therapist.
But I already have a standing relationship, and to have like 10 sessions just like catching up with my life story, like, well, I was born in Roanoke, Virginia, 10 sessions later, and then I started Wheels to Walking. Like I swear to fucking God. Like,
yeah,
like
that's how much
life.
life.
That's how much life. It would just take way too long. So this person is way more expensive and doesn't even like take insurance or whatever, and doesn't work on a sliding scale. There's like so many things about it that just like aren't optimal, but it's like 4 sessions with them in the end will probably be cheaper than like 20 sessions with the other person. And honestly, like, I guess we can talk about this is like, you know, it is scary to commit to leveling up because that means that success is, or even more success is even closer, and like the potential for more responsibility and like more restriction or less freedom, like that's also scary too. To you know, like committing to yourself, committing to a project, or committing to an idea, or like committing to bettering yourself. It's like it's gonna be better, but for right now it sucks, and it has the potential to get even suckier. Maybe, like, I don't know, like there's too much ambiguity, there's too much gray, there's too much unknown. And that's the part that I suffer. I have a very hard time with my disability and with my mental health challenges, that like whenever I don't feel like I'm in control of things, or at least have some organization, like I tend to implode. And I feel myself like riding that cusp where I feel like every day I'm getting closer and closer and closer to the edge of like explosion. And, you know, I literally like reread my Untold Story recently. And as I was reading through it, like I have some like really good advice to the people that have read the Untold Story. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should just like take my own fucking advice. Like maybe I should really like listen to what, you know, this Richard was telling, you know, the strangers of the internet to do, because honestly, like I need to listen to myself right now. And I did. Like I straight up like,
what was the advice that you needed to take?
Ask for help before it's too late. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like being self-aware of it is, I think, a sign of like you're not like that same person.
Oh no,
it's like you're more self-aware of it, so that when you know it's coming, you can take those steps into being like, all right, time for therapist, time to like really kind of take a break from things. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think I've established like certain guardrails and boundaries and barriers and like certain like red flag acknowledgements, like little simple things like I can pay attention to. Be like, oh, I'm like sleeping in too much and staying up too late, or oh, like I'm not eating the best way, or like my medicine timing is off, or you know, things seem really disorganized, or my gym is all fucky, or you know, like there's certain obvious things, and then even like in other areas, and it's just one of these deals where I'm like, yo, I kind of have to realize that I've been dancing on the line, or I've been like dancing on my guardrail. I've been playing on that line, and usually what I try to do is like stay as far away from the line as I possibly can, because I know what is on the other side of that line. But I've been finding myself in multiple areas of my life getting like closer and closer and closer. And honestly, I would say like a part of my own like ego and my naivete and inexperience and, you know, I guess delusional optimism is really kind of like, I'm like, nah, I got this. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm good. And I also know how good I can keep a face and for how long I can keep a face. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I immediately like sought counsel in my family, because like, you know me and you know me really well. Jalila knows me and knows me really well, but you guys don't know me in certain contexts. Like, you don't know me as well as like they know me. So like being able to go to them and be like, hey, I'm fucked. And they're like, yeah, you're fucked. And I'm like, cool. So help, because, you know, like I don't want to find myself in another 6 months, 9 months, a year, like back in a mental health hospital, or like, you know, hooked on fucking drugs again, or, you know,
or hooked
like,
on phonics.
or hooked on phonics, or, you know, like somehow my own behaviors have self-destructed, you know, wheels to walking or whatever. Like, I just realized that like, I need a lot of work and I don't have a lot of experience or knowledge, and I just kind of don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And like, as these new problems and these new challenges and these new struggles arise, I'm so inexperienced that I'm like, okay, how did I end up here? Okay, but I'm here. All right, how do I fix this? Well, I don't know how to fix this. Well, who does know how to fix this? Not sure. So, I mean, even I'm finding myself just like as I'm journaling, just like coming up with ideas, or even just allowing myself to just like quietly sit and think for like an hour or 2 hours at a time. Because another kind of big red flag of mine is like, if I force myself to be around people all the time. Like if I'm not with you, I'm with you. If I'm not with Jalila, I'm with Anas. If I'm not with Anas, you know, I'm doing something. Like, I'm always like either like listening to a podcast or an audio book or like a YouTube, or, you know, I'm hanging out with someone. Like, I don't give myself enough time to think in my head, because I'm always just like, I don't want to spend time in there. There's too much going on. La, 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 la. And I just kind of just spend too much time outward. And I've been finding myself allowing myself to be kind of like more quiet and more introspective. But I think that probably also has to do with the fact that I'm like hella depressed, which is very... That terrifies me, that in a matter of 1 week, I can go from like, woohoo, best few days that I've had in like a year.
Life rips.
Yeah, that I can go from life rips to, oh, what the fuck? I can't even like get out of bed. Like, I physically like can't move. How did that happen?
I felt it kind of too. I mean, I'm not in that same place of depression. I've got like a few more things at home. Like, I've got a new roommate, and like, I just got like a new desk, and like, you know, like random little things that are kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. But like, I vibe that too, because like being on, because we went from Houston, and that was super fun. Then we went to LA, and like, so in that meantime, we were kind of looking forward to LA, and like that whole trip was just epic. And now we're kind of just like,
you know,
we were like Mario, and we hit the mushroom, and then we immediately got hit by like 9 shells and fell down the pipe. Yeah, now we're in the water. Yeah.
But that kind of brings up another topic of like self-awareness too, of like social media. And we started to talk about it, but only Andrew watched it at the time. So we're talking about
social dilemma.
Yes. And
AJ is riding a Segway right now.
Yeah, dude, you fucking ripped that Segway, bro. Like, that was,
dude, AJ.
That was
do you give tours? Because you should give Segway tours.
That was the smoothest shit. I literally was thinking to myself, like, how the fuck am I going to transition out of this? And he's like, well, what that does is we're talking about self-awareness.
That was great.
Social dilemma. And I'm like, nailed it. Fucking nailed it. The fact that we brought it up, that's the only way they noticed it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we just ruined it. But anyways,
that was a
continue.
I would agree that was a good segue. But anyways, as I was saying, we Andrew, when he said that, I was interested in watching it, and I watched it. And during that time, I like disabled my Instagram. And wow, like once you really like when you watch that movie and kind of like really soak it in, because there's like
it's kind of like it's like a pretty legit smack to the face, but in a good way. And when you wake up to it, you're kind of like, oh, and then you do everything in your power to kind of like reduce the potential harm that they describe in this film. And like, I mean, I don't know how real you want to get, because you're kind of like not really one to talk about shit like this, but like, how did it like? I know you're kind of running through some shit. Like, how did that impact you, and like what were some steps that you could like take or whatever?
I mean, I did notice, like, I won't get too into it, but I haven't been like 100% hot lately either. So I think
you're hot.
I mean, you sexy.
I think you're
Thanks,
100%
guys.
hot.
No, people in the comments are gonna be like, dude, he's got the sexiest voice ever. Like,
But anyways, continue. You're not feeling like yourself.
So yeah, and I think a big part of that was like comparison, and that's something.
comparison's a bitch, dude.
Yeah, comparison is just a big issue of mine. But anyways, when I disabled the my account, I like it wasn't like it was like I kind of like longed for like a connection, and I think that is like the issue with like Instagram and Facebook is like it's shown as like a social media, like you socialize, but like
Not really.
when you really look at it, it's turning into kind of like a really evil thing.
Well, you're 22, right? Is that right?
23.
23. Okay. Sorry, I'm shit with remembering names. Like fucking
I
Anas.
turned 23 on
Wow.
22 is a number, not a name.
Thanks. I mean,
Hey guys, this is 22. He's AJ years old, and
Hi, I'm 22.
hi, I'm 22,
Yeah.
like 11 from Stranger Things.
I was talking to you know who doesn't ever tell me when it's his birthday is Anas. I literally I was literally like flipping through pictures on my camera roll, and it was like, you have a memory from 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh, it's his birthday, and I'm like, that motherfucker didn't tell me it was his goddamn birthday.
Well, it's not really everyone else's job to tell you that it's their birthday.
I know,
Because you don't want to be that guy that
No,
goes,
but
hey, it's my birthday.
No, but I hung out with him like a lot during
That day.
and I was like,
Yeah.
you never once
Brought
was
it
like,
up.
you never once like, hey, I like turned 26 today. Like never, nothing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He's low key. He's so low key like that. Like he's. I would expect that from him. Honestly.
He's like so low key. He's in the Avengers.
But
Loki.
on your point,
So dumb.
I remember. So I did not have a typical high school, college, job, married, kids' house timeline. Okay, very similar to all of us here. None of us had a very typical timeline, and I remember the 22, 23 being like the hardest because at the time I was like working a job at Apple. I was like really fucking addicted to drugs. You know what I mean? Like life really wasn't going anywhere. I was super depressed. Life did not rip. But I remember seeing all the time, like just bought a house, like just got pregnant, like just got this just got this new car, just got this new job. Look at this vacation I'm going on. And here I am like laying in a bed of like blood, piss and shit, like trying to kill myself every day, just like looking at these people like living the best life. Like I fucking like that era is really hard because everyone's graduating, everyone's like fucking getting married or like getting a house or like having a fucking new job, and they're all publicly celebrating and everyone in the comments is congratulating you, and it's like you're sitting here in the corner like, well, fuck me, I guess, like
yeah, dude,
that's some real shit.
1000%.
That's real shit right there.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate to, like, especially when like I was your age, because I dropped out of college after 1 year. And like I did like my own thing for a little while, and then I like traveled and stuff. But then when I came back, I was just like working at a gym and like not really making that much money. And I was still living at my parents' house and stuff. And it was just like, fucking A, dude. Like, people are graduating and blah, blah, blah. And that's like, on one hand, I had braced myself for that because I knew that was like coming, You know that meme of the guy with the sand tornado, like, it's coming. Like I knew that shit was coming. Just like that bull factory, but
yes, Kathy, I know you're laughing at that one.
but anyways, I like had braced myself for that, and so I kind of knew that comparison is like just like the worst on social media. So I kind of like had braced myself for it, but I guess the point being, everyone's on their own like journey and stuff. And I know a lot of people out there are like definitely on, like, can relate to this hardcore, but everyone's journey is completely different. Like you can't base your own success off of like other people's success. And here's the other thing that social media doesn't show you, like how much like credit card debt people are in, how much fucking unhappiness they're truly in, but they're just faking it. Like there's some people that are just keeping it real and their life's not going that great, but they're not out here trying to pretend like it is. And then there's other people out here that are pretending like their life is great and it's not, but you only see the faking. And so you just go, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of her. You know, she looks this way. She's got this thing. She's got a boyfriend, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, she hates her body. She's like starving herself. She doesn't, you know, actually love her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's abusive. You know, she's trying to move out, but she can't.
They're in debt.
They're in hella credit card debt, and she didn't know it.
Their kid is sick.
Yeah, like there's just like so much stuff that you don't know on the outside, and I think that's like a huge thing of Wheels to Walking is like, you know, when you have like a disability that's like so public, it feels like everyone is like judging you because your thing in your life that you're struggling with is like so obvious, but like.
Well, that
in everyone else's life, everyone's dealing with shit. But also at the same time, like life can be really good and you need to like appreciate it when times are good because like times aren't always going to be good. I mean, that's the whole thing of the temporary meaning and all that. But like, you know, life can be fucking good. Like, you know, last week when we were in LA, like I remember a bunch of times being very grateful and being like, holy shit, like life is really cool right now. Like life is really, really cool. I'm surrounded by cool people. I'm in a different place. Like
doing cool things and shit.
I've all the life decisions that I've made have led me up to this moment. And this is fucking dope. But like that's not that feeling. The feeling of just like pure happiness like does never lasts forever. Like it's like taking a shower. It's like you're in the shower and you're as clean as you can be, but once you leave the shower, you're gonna get dirty. You can take another shower again and get clean again, but it's like you're never gonna be like, oh my gosh, I wish I could experience this feeling forever. Like it just can't happen. You have to have highs to have lows, and like I don't know.
I think the biggest thing that I struggle with specifically with online perception is the perception versus reality. And I feel almost guilty when my reality doesn't match up with like the online perception.
Because you've done that.
I mean, I intentionally don't show you guys everything. Like podcast homies, you know me way more than main channel homies. And main channel homies are great. I love the main channel people. I fucks with y'all. You're my bread and butter. But it's like you see, you listen to me and Andrew talk for...
You can't eat bread or butter, dude.
That happens.
You're my bread and butter. When I eat you, I poop my pants and almost die.
Shit myself.
So if the main channel is your bread and butter, the podcast homies are your meat and greens.
Sure. My meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes. You can eat those. Anyways,
so
continue.
You know, I you know, we spend 90 minutes on here, you know, like hanging out. Like, I hope you guys feel like you're in the same room as us, just chilling, talking, laughing, whatever. And then, you know, the main channel is, you know, what it is. It's anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes of some hyper edited, you know, very specialized video. And then, like, it depends on if I put
the dancing video.
Yeah, if I put up
perception versus reality.
Yeah, if I put up a, you know, an Instagram post with a caption or whatever. But like the truth is, most of the time, I don't really align with all of those things always. And it's twofold. So it's like, I like the fact that I don't put 100% of my life on the internet. What I don't like is when I feel like what is being presented is not accurate as to what I'm going through, because then I start to feel like a fraud, or I feel inauthentic. Like I feel even worse about feeling sad. Like Monday and Tuesday, for example, like I was like dead ass, like fucked up bad, especially yesterday. And today, like I'm feeling a little bit better.
You go to the doctor. How do you feel? I was dead ass fucked up bad.
I feel
the doctor writes it down.
I feel like the right doctor would know what I'm talking about, though. Like the proper doctor would know what's up.
Patient is, quote, dead ass fucked up bad. The most 2020 way to describe what's going on.
And I remember like looking through like the Instagram and like looking through the main channel and stuff and be like, this doesn't really reflect like what's going on right now. And that sucks. Like I don't like that. Like I miss, you know, like writing, you know, the captions, and, you know, I miss kind of like, I almost am inspired to like expand on the untold story. Like I'm almost inspired to like start to write like more captions for Instagram, because I always felt like Instagram was more like my blog. Like it's kind of like a journal, like a public journal, like a public blog. And it's evolved over the past year to be, I mean, just a YouTube promotional device. Like I pretty much just like put YouTube promo on there and be like, go to YouTube, watch this video. You know, like it kind of devolved from what it was. And like I just miss feeling like the deep connection with everybody. And I just haven't been feeling that. And again, I think that's the perception versus reality shit. I think that's the social media shit. And I think that also includes, you know, conflict. And we can even talk about, you know, like left versus right, you know, Antifa versus QAnon, red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican, you know, rural versus city, blah, blah, blah. Like what we see is what we believe. And if you're, you know, algorithmically scrolling, you know, they're going to pump up stuff that's going to make you react, and it could be divisive. It probably is divisive, or make you envious or jealous, or like you guys were both right, or no, it was you talking about like the cheesy skits. But my favorite of the cheesy skit was the representation of what the algorithm is. When
the three guys that are the same guy.
It's like three guys that are the same guy that are trying to like hack your brain. And build a model
and draw you back into the app
and build a model of who you are. Like it's the same reason when people are like, yo, listen, I've never spoken out loud to anyone about me. I was thinking about getting a cat. I haven't told anybody. And then all of a sudden I'm getting like ads on my Facebook for Friskies. And it's like, well, that's because you went to a pet store and like,
well, not only that, dude,
they know you went there.
That's too obvious. That's too obvious.
Yeah.
This is like, because I'm a dork and I listen to a lot of podcasts about this type of shit. Yeah. So they don't need to use your microphone to know everything about you. They need the metadata of what you do is way more indicative of of who you actually are.
They can predict your behavior.
But metadata, not even including location-based data, like for example, let's say AJ and I are you know, we're the same age, we do the same things, we're involved in all this, we're like our avatars, like when you talk about an avatar and like marketing, you're talking about a fictional person that you're trying to reach. So like if I'm a toy manufacturer, my avatar might be like a 5-year-old kid that loves fire trucks or whatever, and that's really an obvious example. But
well, here's
my
a good
avatar
example
of a camera that's a specific thing, like maybe I'm making it specifically for AJ. So if let
me say something real quick. So for the people that maybe don't understand the conceptualization of avatar, so I am my own avatar for Wheels to Walking, meaning like I market and point content towards myself, hoping that other people that look like me are also affected by that. That's my own little
So you're only targeting ugly people because they look like you?
Yeah, disabled ugly people. Yeah,
yeah, because you're really fucking busted.
Yeah, not even disabled ugly, just straight uggo.
Just like a
balding,
like a 1 out of 10. Personality brings it to a 2 maybe, but like appearance wise, like a 1.
Spinal cord injury, wheelchair users, active lifestyle.
But anyways,
male, usually mostly male.
Because of like, for example, the patterns that maybe AJ was saying, you know, he wasn't feeling so hot. Maybe the patterns of what he was doing is indicative to Instagram that he's not feeling so good. And so then maybe because other people that were doing similar things, like he was going on this too much, he was looking at pictures of his ex a lot, or he was, you know, looking at too many, you know, memes about depression or whatever, you know, like
memes, yeah.
however he's acting, there's probably an exact almost replica of someone who's doing very similar things somewhere else in the United States or in Georgia or wherever. And so maybe a few of those people have looked up like depression meds or something. And because of that, they're like, oh, well, AJ's doing a lot of these same things over here. Let's target him with ads of that these people have been searching for. And he's like, holy shit, how did Instagram know? I didn't even like type in this, or like I didn't think about getting a cat or whatever. But like
I never typed
maybe
in,
there's
am I depressed?
But maybe like an indicative thing of like people that look at certain things are like also going through the same phase of life where they're like, maybe I should get a kitten.
It's patterns of behavior. It really is.
Patterns, exactly. And so it doesn't even need to use your microphone, because the data that you say out loud is way less powerful than the data that you're feeding into these algorithms, because what you do privately on your phone is way more indicative of who you are as a person. I don't go on here and talk about all the YouTube videos that I watch, because those deep down are my real interests, you know, like the stuff that I do on my phone while I'm alone. That's the stuff that I'm truly interested in. The stuff that I talk about in public, the things that I speak out loud. I don't speak about lots of the things that I research and look up and
they might have access to your camera and your microphone, but they don't need it. Like
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
They don't need it.
And maybe they are using the microphone or whatever, and that's what people are like, oh, they're listening. But it's like they really don't need it, because if you watch The Social Dilemma, you can see how powerful these systems really are, because it's not just you they're basing it off of, it's you plus all the other metadata from millions of people.
Hundreds of thousands of engineers building a platform that is made to keep you on there longer.
Billions and billions of engineers.
It's you versus like
an army
of scientists. Like,
I think last week we kind of like talked about the premise of it, but maybe this week we can talk about the effect on it. So AJ, you deleted your Instagram. How has that been for you?
This isn't the first time I've done this.
Or you deactivated your account, so you can bring it back.
Yeah. So I did deactivate it because I just kind of wanted to take some time to like really think about
your life.
Yeah. Just like like my values and just things that I need to like focus on.
But it's been positive for you, right? I mean, I
would say it's been more enlightening. Like I've become more self-aware of like.
Do you find your impulses, like, do you find yourself doing things impulsively that you're like, and then when you catch yourself, you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I know when I've through multiple times deleted my social medias like Facebook and Instagram, like I was so compelled and drawn to my phone and to my computer that I didn't even know I was doing it. I'd be like, man, I'm going to search this thing. And I would have the intention of picking up my phone and going to my web browser and typing in search. But before I knew it, I was searching for the app. And I'm like, I'm not even trying to, like, what am I doing? Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like,
they're deep grooves embedded in your brain. Yeah. So a couple of things that I've practically done.
Well, hang on. Let's sorry. I interrupted AJ.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
But I don't know, during that time, I've kind of like taken, I won't go too deep into it, but I've kind of just like taken time to just kind of like stop everything and kind of just like think about what I care about, and like, because like I'm trying to put it into a way that, like,
maybe not
sense.
what social media has told you care about.
Exactly.
Or
like,
what you see and what you think you care about.
Or just like things that like that other people are doing that, like, oh, I'm so behind on that. Like, I need to kind of just, it's, I think what it comes down to is just all just like a focus on in my lane thing. Like, this is something that Danny Duncan said that's like always stuck with me, is like, he, like, the way he does YouTube is like, he is just like, he thinks about like his goal, and he's just like, he thinks of it as like, just life is kind of just like a road, and you need to kind of just like, you can't think of any distractions and like what other people are doing. You just need to focus on your road and focus on like what makes you happy and what's going to move you forward. And like, as long as you stay on that road, like, you're eventually going to get to like your destination. But if you keep going on these distractions, saying like, oh, there's like a Walmart I want to go to, let's pull over there. Like, you need to like, I don't know. That's like the best way I can explain.
No, it's a good idea.
Experience.
That's a good perspective.
It's like, stay in your lane, stay on your task, focus on you, because if you are too busy trying to like figure out what other cars are doing and other drivers are doing, or what other cars or other drivers are doing on other roads, you just like won't get shit done.
Yeah,
you know? Exactly.
Like, figuring out what matters.
That's a good analogy.
Like, I remember there was a time when I got rid of. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you look at your analytics or whatever on your phone, you look at your screen time, and you're like, wow, I spend 6 hours a day on Instagram. What the fuck? I didn't even realize that. And then say you get rid of your Instagram, you now have 6 extra hours. It's difficult to find things to do with yourself.
That's kind of like the other thing.
You're like, what do I do with myself? Like,
when you have any like pausing moment,
right?
Most people like just go to Instagram or something.
Like,
yeah.
When you don't have that, like in The Social Dilemma, when you don't have that notification pop up, it kind of like they're just like that time is like no longer filled with whatever bullshit you were doing before. Like there, you kind of like look at your notifications as like kind of like fake things to do or look at.
Like tasks.
And once it's like disappeared, it's like, wow, all that shit is kind of pointless to look at. Because
it makes you feel connected, but it's not. You're not connecting with anyone for any reason. It's like you could spend 30 minutes texting some friends or calling friends and trying to like schedule times to hang out with them, or you could spend 30 minutes scrolling on Instagram. And the likelihood of you feeling the same way, it's probably the same, but one is an actual connection and one is a deceptive connection.
Yeah, and I think I think that now that I'm more aware of like the time I spent on it, like my time has just been filled with kind of like nothing, and you kind of like, I think the depressing part is like I need to find something to like fill that in, but I don't know what that is.
Something fulfilling, something that adds value, something that makes you happy. But if you don't have anything yet, I fuck with that thought. Like I vibe with that so hard because like currently one of my big challenges of multiple challenges that I have is like over quarantine, over lockdown, basically from when I got hit to a car to a couple of months ago, all I did was like work. I'm like, all I'm going to do is just like focus on this. I'm going to just work because there's nothing else to do. I'm just going to I'm just going to do this, and like now it's like I only work or hang out with Jalila. And it's like I have no hobbies. I have no free time. I have no time by myself. And it's like that's all my fault. So it's like now I need to find a balance. I need to figure out what the fuck that balance is. But the kind of despair, like the weird despair of like, okay, I've now got an extra 3 hours a day. Okay, what do I do? Well, I don't know what I want to do. Well, I guess I'll just lay here and hopefully be inspired. But like, again, the instinct is while I'm laying here, let me grab my phone and scroll, and like I even found myself like, I'll delete apps and then I'll just go to the web browser and like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not even going to log in. I'm just going to scroll, I'm just like, I'll I'm like, fuck Instagram or fuck Imager. I'm wasting all my time on there. www. And then before I know it, it's like, this user experience is much better with the app. You want to download the app?
Every 2 seconds.
Yeah, like I remember.
You can only scroll so far in the comments.
That was
stuff.
one of my hacks at one point was I deleted the app and told myself I could only go to Facebook on my web browser. So it made it like more complicated. And then before
then you just get good at doing the stupid thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a weird feeling to like have all the freedom and the time and the ability to do the things that you want to do, but you don't even know what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Like not knowing.
That was kind of like quarantine for a lot of people. I think
not knowing is the worst. Like how I know this very close to my heart because I mean that Wheels to Walking got started as a result of me thinking first of all like, okay, what are all the things I don't want to do? I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I like, so basically I cut like half. So as a person with a disability, half of my options are already taken away anyway. So I like cut another half of those options in play. And then I had, a couple of options left. And then, I kept narrowing down. And basically the thing is like, I want to share my story with people. And YouTube was kind of the only place, I wanted something that I could have, worst case scenario, I could work from bed. Best case scenario, I didn't have a boss or could, travel around the world or, I could choose what I wanted to do or what I didn't want to do. And like, luckily I found it and I'm super stoked about it. But I remember it was a good 2-3 years that I pretty much just floundered around. Like I just kind of, I would try things. I'd be like, fuck this, hate it, sucks. And I'd try something else and be like, fuck this, hate it, sucks. But at least I was trying. But even before I started trying, I spent a good 6 to 9 months just doing nothing. Like I think I probably woke up, ate food, maybe showered, maybe went to the gym, and then I watched like every episode of Seinfeld. Like just that's all I did all day. Just kind of like miserable. But I hated that part of my life. That sucked. That sucked so bad. Like it's so frustrating. It's like I'm young, I'm energetic, I got time. I want to put this energy into a passion or something, but then you just kind of like stuck. Like your body and your brain aren't communicating for whatever reason.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah.
It's like this hollow, empty bullshit. It's like, fuck, if I only knew what I wanted to do. And then it's like, well, why don't you go try things? And I'm like, but that takes fucking willpower or like motivation or like that takes something.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
It's hard to find that thing that kind of pushes you to go and try that new thing. That's another thing on the.
There's a lot of things out there that you can think of that you're like, man, I feel like if I actually committed to that, I could probably do it. Like YouTube is that for a lot of people. You know, they're like, man, I could do that YouTube thing. I could be a vlogger, but like,
it's a lot of fear, man.
I'd have to do it for a long time. I mean, there's so many people that don't make it.
Fear is a shitty fucking thing.
Well, I've tried. I think what's been a useful tool to me is like whenever I'm afraid of something, I have to figure out exactly what I'm afraid of, and then I have to play the scenario out in my head of what would happen if that fear came true. And if it's not a big deal, then fuck it. You know,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm afraid of failing. Okay, why are you afraid of failing? Well,
And what does failing actually look like?
Yeah, what does failing look
Are
like?
you homeless?
You know,
does everyone in your life hate you?
You know, I'm afraid of disappointing people. Okay, well, what happens if you do disappoint people? Well, people are upset at me. Okay, well, what happens to your life if people are upset at you? Well, I mean, nothing really. So it's like, okay, cool. So the worst case scenario is people are upset with you. Strangers are upset with you. And if they're upset with you, then okay, fine.
Yeah,
You know?
the 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss talks about that, like, you know, this idea of trying this like nomadic lifestyle and whatever. And he's like, and if you try it, people are like, well, I can't because my boss. And it's like, well, what happens if you ask your boss? What if he says no? It's like, you'll never know until you know. Yeah. And also it's like, imagine your life as perfect as it could be. You have all the things that you like wanted, and it's like a perfect 10, right? And if you want to get there, you have to do a few things that are scary. And if you fail at those things, you know, that's the consequences. But let's analyze it. So right now, maybe your life is like a 6 or 7. You want to get to a 10. If you fail at things that would make you get to a 10, is your life going to go all the way down to a 1?
Nah, maybe a 5.
A 1 is
Maybe.
like rock bottom, you know, like you hate your life, you're ready to kill yourself, your family fucking hates you, you have no friends, everyone hates you, you know, blah 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 blah. Like that, to me, that's my 1. Is like everyone just hates you. No one wants anything to do with you. You've burned every bridge that you even have.
I mean, my one was kind of like that, where I like.
And I hope that that most people never even get to a 1. Like I feel like 2 is even still fucking terrible. Like
shitty.
Being homeless, like, you know, just whatever. Yeah. But it's like, no, if you fail at the things that would potentially make your life a 10, what, your life's gonna go down maybe like 2 points. You'd be like a 5, maybe. You know, like maybe you're gonna go into debt. Okay, like that's terrible, but like you can get out of that.
Or you maybe have to downgrade your car, or downgrade your apartment, or downgrade your lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
and
like
that sucks, but like no one wants to do that.
You know, 2 steps forward or 2 steps back. You know, 5. It's like sometimes
you got to take 2 steps forward to go 5 steps.
Yeah, you have to slow down to speed up. Sometimes you have to take steps back to go forward.
You got to take steps.
Gotta take pushes.
You gotta go forwards to go backwards.
Yes. I don't know, man, but that movie was fucking great, dude. It's so interesting because like the people they interview are the people that built a lot of these things and never had these type of intentions, and then they turned into things that they never knew what were going to happen. And the crazy dichotomy of it is like this movie mostly focuses on like the scary and the terrible and the bad. And those things are true, but what's also true is like social media has created a beautiful utopia as well. Like we can't deny the fact that like social media has made, like, I mean, Wheels to Walking exists because of social media, and I think that is a very beautiful thing. And, you know, on the opposite of that, you know, ISIS recruits people on social media, you know, and the same thing of that is like there's now this conflict that could potentially arise in some type of civil war for all we know, you know, like that's kind of crazy too. But even just the idea that like they pretty much expose the idea that's like, hey, these things in your pockets are hacking your brain in the same way that like slot machines at a casino hacks your brain. And
yeah, I mean, we've kind of known that for a long time. I think the social dilemma really goes a step deeper, you know, like it really shows you, oh, fuck. I was listening to a podcast the other day who he's done a lot of interesting things, but currently he's working for Adobe, and he's creating their new universal camera app. And they don't have a universal camera app right now, but basically the idea is that it would be an app that you could install on any phone, and it would be able to use like the raw camera data from any camera. So then you could like import it into Lightroom, and they wouldn't just be getting like a JPEG. They'd be getting like all the camera data, which is pretty cool. But anyways, nerdy shit. But what he was talking about was, so Nilay Patel was the guy that was interviewing him.
I like him.
Yeah.
You like him too. He's the one who does the SEO, the keywords everywhere or whatever.
No,
it
he's
is.
not.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That's
Bald guy?
not.
Yeah,
That's
I know who you're talking
no,
about.
that's not the same person. Nilay Patel is the editor-in-chief of The Verge. Nilay Patel is also a very similar, very common name. Patel is like super common.
I know Patel, but the like, how do you spell it?
It doesn't matter. It's not the same guy, but it's Nilay. It's not the same guy.
It's different.
But,
we were thinking the same guy.
we were
though.
thinking the same guy. Yeah, my bad.
But anyways, oops. Nilay Patel was the interviewer, and he asked him about the idea of like filters and beauty filters and skin smoothing and all these different types of things, because like by default, for example, Samsung phones have beauty smoothing and skin smoothing and beauty mode. For when you turn the selfie camera on a Samsung phone, by default beauty mode is on. It makes your skin smoother, makes your face skinnier. It gives you a false perception of who you are by default, and you have to turn those off. It's actually really hard to turn off all the options on a Samsung phone.
Wasn't there's a part in the Social Dilemma where they talk about plastic surgeons even being like, yo, girls are coming in by the droves, and they say they want to, like, they will literally,
wanna look like the
they will
filters that
literally
they-
hold up a picture of their Snapchat filters and be like, I want to look like this one, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's
And
crazy.
It is crazy. And
They talk about suicide rates between like young adolescents, like 18 to 24s, and then like the 13 to 17s, and like, fuck, dude, that's crazy. And the advent of social media on mobile, it was like right at the moment social media came on mobile, was it? There was like
It was
spike.
like it was like around like 2011. You
Yeah.
just see like the statistics, which is very interesting by the way. All the statistics they show.
Yeah. Jonathan Haidt was interviewed in The Social Dilemma. He's the guy who wrote The Coddling of the American Mind, I believe it's called.
You've mentioned that like multiple times on multiple podcasts.
It's
I feel
a
like
book pretty much entirely about that whole concept. It's
okay.
insane. But he I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so he was asking
Beauty filters.
Yes, Nilay was asking this guy about what he thinks about this kind of stuff, because obviously if you build it, they will come type shit. You know, it's like when you build this stuff into it. And what he was saying is, he's like, do you feel any kind of responsibility for this type of stuff? Do you feel, you know, and he's like, no, because anytime you build anything, there's the ability for people to use it for good and people to use it for evil. Like there's always potential for people to misuse a thing that you've created. You can use a hammer to build something productive and make a house. You can also use a hammer to smash yourself in the head or smash someone else in the head.
Murder someone. Yeah.
So it's like, the second that the tools are working against us, that's where it's the problem. But if it's truly a tool, the tool has no moral value. It's like, is a bullet inherently evil? No. But anyways, the point of what I was saying is, I think for me personally, social media has been a very net positive thing in my life, but I can also see where it has had negatives, like for sure. But I think it all goes back to like how you use it and having a very healthy mindset around it and being conscious of these things, because the only way that you can like truly attack the enemy is to like know the enemy. You know, like the only way
to
you
win
can
the game is to know the rules. Kind of shit. Yeah.
Exactly. The only way to win is to know the rules. And so like the same goes with social media. And I think just for me personally, like my biggest real world takeaways of The Social Dilemma in general is, number one, like turn off pretty much all push notifications.
All notifications. Even before seeing Social Dilemma, the only notification I have on was text messaging and phone calls. That's it.
Dude, my dad has CNN updates that ping every like 10 seconds on his phone.
God.
It's like honestly kind of scary. I'm like, literally, like his phone will go off and he's like, oh, and it's like, oh, it was just CNN. It's like, dude, why do you have that even on?
Yeah.
You're gonna go to the app anyways. That's the biggest thing for me is I'm gonna end up, because I know myself, I'm gonna end up going to all these apps anyways.
Seriously.
I'm
gonna check email.
I'm not gonna check email, so I do have those notifications on because I don't have inbox 0, so I don't really go to my inbox. I only do it by notifications. Like if I see something that's important, I'll leave the notification there. But like text messages and email I have on, but Facebook completely off. I do have notifications for Facebook Messenger though. You know, people are trying to get in touch with me, whatever. It's kind of the same as SMS for me.
Yeah.
The one that's hard is Instagram, right? Because Instagram, I talk to people in the DMs a lot on Instagram.
Same. That's like replying to comments and DMs are like the most activity.
But I know that I'm going to go to Instagram anyways. And the thing that I found is like pretty healthy for me on Instagram. So for example, on my desktop, my shortcut for Facebook. So Facebook on my desktop, I have an app called Newsfeed Eradicator that's really good.
Oh, yeah.
You can install it on Chrome. It basically gets rid of the newsfeed. Like there is no way to actually see the newsfeed. So when you open up facebook.com, the only things you see are like the search bar, the little things on the side, and the stuff on the right side. The thing in the middle is like an inspirational quote, and it changes every time you refresh the page. So that's a really good app to use.
I mean, I never go on desktop anyway, so.
Well, I work on my desktop for work, obviously. I'm editing constantly. So when I'm editing and I'm needing to find a clip of someone of Chelsea Hill dancing or something, I'm going to go to Instagram.com and search it. But as soon as I go to Instagram.com, I'm getting sucked into the newsfeed immediately. I see all the stories at the top and I see all this. So one thing I did was change my Instagram shortcut on my desktop. Instead of going to Instagram.com, it goes to Instagram.com/inbox. So it goes to my DMs first so I don't get sucked into the newsfeed. But the search bar is still there so I can search for things immediately. Because that's always the biggest thing is like you go to this social media thing with intentions of doing a specific thing, but then you immediately get sucked into the bullshit.
Every time. I've done that before. So I've got this habit of going in this like loop where I'm like, okay, like if I open up Instagram, it's like Instagram notifications, Instagram DM. Then I jump to Facebook and I go Facebook personal notifications. Then I'll do Wheels to Walking notifications. Then I'll do inbox. And then I jump to YouTube and look at the comments. And then I jump to the email, make sure everything's okay. And I'll make that full cycle and I'll set down my phone and like, oh, fuck, I was just going to copy a URL. Like, how did I end up here? Like, how the fuck did I end up here? Like, I just went through
10 to 15, 20, 30 minutes. I
just went through a loop and I'm like, Jesus. And then I'll jump back on there and be like, and then I'll go and then I'll complete the task I meant to complete in the first place. Like,
exactly. Like sometimes you even close the app and you go, oh, I was going to do that thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's the worst.
I've done that
and
way too
so
many
those
times.
are some things I've definitely done. I've pretty much turned off push notifications for everything. YouTube was one that I had push notifications turned on for because I turn on the bell and like we're telling people to do that. But like, I think I turned that off mainly because it wasn't even distracting me. Like I typically go to YouTube for like I'm sitting down to eat dinner. I'm like, I'm going to watch some YouTube.
Right.
Like YouTube's not one of those ones where it's just easy to like get sucked into a rabbit hole.
You have to commit to YouTube.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'll open up YouTube and if I ever get sucked into a YouTube, it's just because like my front page has a bunch of videos I want to watch and I'm like, okay, watch later.
I'm a watch later whore for sure. I have like 2,000 videos in my watch later.
That's a lot. Do you not delete them after you watch them?
No.
Oh, I always do.
I delete them too, yeah.
I'm like synced it, flop.
Yeah, well, the watch later playlist used to not be very intuitive, and I've been on YouTube for years, and so first of all, the other thing that messed me up was I never knew that you could sort the watch later playlist by recently added, so it was always by the oldest videos.
Oh, and you got to know it backwards.
I was just always scrolling so far. And then finally I figured it out that you could resort it. But anyways, I never really used that feature much. And so I remember like, because typically when you add something to watch later, it will also re-pop up in your home feed later too. Like you don't necessarily have to go to that playlist. It's like, YouTube knows that it's in the watch later playlist, so it starts putting it back on your homepage later on.
Yeah.
So that's why I would always do that.
Ever re-added anything into your watch later? Be like, oh, that's a Drew. I haven't seen that Drew Gooden video, and you hit watch. You
just delete from watch later.
And I'm like, oh, it's already in there.
Yeah. Another thing that I'll do is since I have Facebook or YouTube Premium, I'll download the videos. Then like later, I'm like, okay, this one's on my phone. I don't have to like buffer. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, YouTube I turned off. Mainly just because it was getting annoying. But yeah, I've turned off a lot of notifications. And the other thing in the social dilemma that it talks about is kind of like the divisiveness. Yeah. This is something I've talked about a lot on the podcast. But like on my personal channels, I like to have people from both sides because I don't identify typically with like one specific ideology so hardcore.
Because
like,
idiots on both sides. There are literally idiots on both sides.
Yeah, I try to take multiple perspectives into account. So like, for example, on Facebook, like I'm part of like feminist Facebook groups and then I'm part of like very misogynistic Facebook groups because I like to see what people are like actually saying, you know, like I don't want to hide myself from like stuff that I think is uncomfortable or whatever. I want to see it so I can know how to address it when I see it in real life. And then on Instagram, another thing that I did recently, one person posted about this, is like unfollow like every Instagram thought. And like I'd pretty much done that a while ago when I like tried to get under 1,000. Like I pretty much unfollowed like every like hot girl, quote unquote, that I was following. But one thing that I have started following more is art pages and like tattoo pages and things that like inspire me to create or be creative. Because when I see those types of things on my feed, it like inspires me to go like do something or feel something versus just mindlessly scrolling through like, just got promoted, just got, happy anniversary, happy, oh my gosh, my best friend just got engaged, blah, 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 blah. Because that's like all the grid is nowadays.
Booty pics.
Yeah. But I do like, I do feel like stories is a really good way.
Like stories, dude, because I can kind of see what people are up to and I can reply to stories.
That's the thing.
Like, honestly,
you get to keep up with friends that you don't typically get to keep up with.
You will not catch me scrolling the feed for more than like 2 minutes, but like I'll watch hours of stories. Like, because I'm like, okay.
You ever reach the end of your stories?
I mean, I used to, but now I don't anymore.
That's a sad moment.
Yeah.
When it goes, that's all for today. And you go, I watched every story.
Damn. All 1,000 plus people you follow.
I need to get a hobby.
I like the story algorithm more than I like the pay, like the
I kind of don't, because sometimes I do and I don't, because like there's definitely a lot of people that I follow that I wish I see their stories, but I just don't ever, because I've never considered like purposefully going to their page and checking out their stories. But then randomly I'll stumble upon their page. I'm like, how have I never seen their stories? I'm like, oh, because I never click on them because they never show them to me. So I never go that deep.
But the same thing with the scrolling algorithm too. It's like there's certain people that pop up on the top and I'm like, why does this motherfucker always pop up? I don't give a shit about this person, and I'll like mute them. But then the same thing will happen where someone will pop up new and I'm like, I know I've been following them for over a year. How is it that I'm only just now seeing it? And I think what you have to do is you must have to train it. You must have to like,
yeah, you do.
You have to like, once you follow them, like go through and like 6 pics. So the algorithm's like, dope. They're on your front, you know?
Yeah. And like one thing that I typically try to do when I like meet new people and stuff is like, I'll respond to their stories, like, over the next whatever. Like that's one way that I've kept in touch with a lot of people, like especially from music festivals and things like that, is like,
and don't just respond with reactions.
And what's cool is like you meet someone for however long and it's typically not that deep of an interaction
or
like
meaningful. Yeah.
Because you don't really know what to talk about. You're like, so do you like sports? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
and
that's
at least
how
at a music
Diane
festival, at a music festival, you're already definitely interested in that. So you talk about artists and things like that, and you start to talk about EDM adjacent things and all that. But once you follow someone, you get to know, oh, they're like really into politics, or like, oh, they're really into this. And then the next time you meet up with them at a music festival, it's like, oh shit, blah blah blah.
Homies,
and so you're homies because you've been interacting with each other for so long. And that's what's like so beautiful to me. That's why I love social media. That's why I choose to see the good in it. Like that's my favorite part.
I mean, that's how Diane and I met. I met her at an art show in this like railroad depot, and there was this white girl with red lipstick and a red dress standing next to these like very sexual like paintings of like asses, and I was like, are these yours? And she's like, yep. And we just started talking for a while, and I'm like, this is a really cool chick. So I followed her. She did not follow me back, but like, who cares? And I remember like watching the stories and like replying to the stories, and it's like, oh, Diane's into jujitsu and into reading and into plants and like into neon. And then like, I remember we literally like, it got to the point where we were like getting really like open with each other, and then eventually we like exchanged numbers and started texting back and forth. And literally it was like a year or two later, she goes, bruh, I just realized I'm not even following you back. And I'm like, I don't care. Like that doesn't matter. Like we're homies. And so like now when she comes to Atlanta, she's always hitting us up being like, hey, I'm in Atlanta. Like, do you want to do stuff? It's like, fuck yeah. Like, I mean, when we went to Miami, we met up with her. Like Diane's a homie. Like I love fucking Diane.
It's a real friend.
It's a real friend. Like that started. And that would have never cultivated. Like, no way I'm going to, like, roll up.
That's like my friend Haley from Houston.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to roll up on, like, the local art thought and be like, hey, let me get your number so I can text you. So if you're ever in town again, like, we should hang out. She's going to be like, nah. But, like, we can connect through social media. And then when she realized that I'm, like, not a freak or a creep or a weirdo, that I'm just, like, a dude.
That's why I kept Snapchat. Like, it's easy to just to reconnect with people and just like.
Well, there's not really an algorithm for Snapchat, is there? It's
yeah,
just kind
there
of like.
is.
I mean,
it's very similar to
like
Instagram story algorithm.
But I mean, like they're not going to suggest ads, and they're not going to suggest ads to other people. Do they do that now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unless you watch like their bullshit, terrible shows.
Well, that's the thing that happens with Instagram and Snapchat is they trick you into going to their bullshit suggestions. Like, the only way to search someone's username is to go to the Explore page on Instagram. Fuck you. I don't want to see a dancing girl on Reels. Fuck you.
And like very young and very sexual.
That's your
and
algorithm, bro.
very
My
not
algorithm is all
clothed.
the Rolettes now.
Is it?
Dead ass, because I was doing all the fucking research for the Rolettes video, and now when I go to my Explorer page, it's all of the Rolettes on the Reels.
Well, what's funny is like Jalila and I will
Not
joke.
all, but
we'll
it's a
be
lot.
like, we'll literally like play the like, is there gonna be ass on the Reels gamble? Where we're literally like, we'll both like open up our phones and like it'll be the same situation. And she's like, if you look at the rest of your algorithm, there is no like thoughts. There's no like dancing chicks. There's no ass. You don't even follow fit chicks. Like it's nothing. So I literally wonder like why the fuck Instagram keeps giving me this shit.
Well, the reason why is because you stay looking at it for a second. You don't have to interact with it.
Yeah, because I stop and look and be like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I just keep scrolling.
Yeah, because they keep track of like
Yep.
the times you look at things too.
The milliseconds.
And how like you're scrolling, and you're like, ooh.
scroll.
Booty. Actually, scroll. Yeah. And like all the normal stuff that you see on your feed, you're just like scroll. Don't care. Like let's keep it moving. Okay, they got engaged. Who cares? It's new baby. Who cares? Fucking.
Yeah.
You're just like rapidly just trying to get like an influx of information. Then all of a sudden you're like, boobs.
I mean, it's so it is literally it's one of the most annoying things about being a guy, I think. Like I'll be even at the gym and I'll just be so focused on my workout and I'm like super intense and I'm like cranking it up and all of a sudden like Gymshark leggings walks by and I'm like ass and then I'm like fuck. You know, like I get mad at myself that like the deep part of my brain, the reptilian brain is like, you gotta fuck today. You know, like that part of my brain is always like on the hunt for like shapes.
You ever seen that?
It's so frustrating. And I was like I was literally trying to describe it to Jalila and she literally didn't understand. And then one time we were talking to a girl that was one of her friends that had like some tig-o bitties.
They're fake.
Big fake tits.
They're very big.
Big fake tits. And afterwards she goes, I couldn't stop staring at her tits. And I was like, I know. I was literally laser.
How do you think I feel?
I was laser focused on her eyebrows so my peripheries wouldn't accidentally see them honkers.
And see them Doban honkeros.
And literally she goes, I think
Those honka banka loose.
She goes, I literally get it now. And then like the same thing, like there was some girl in some Gymshark leggings like doing straight leg deadlifts like right in fucking front of me. And I'm like, I see your puss popping out the back.
And they're like light pastel purple. So like literally like all the shadows, nothing is left to the imagination.
Like, I literally
You're just like, that's your butt.
And like I'm looking in the mirror trying to like do the workout and then like girl like walks in front of me and like bends over, like presents herself and I'm like,
it's like the human version of like a peacock like fluttering its feathers. It's like you showing me your bits and pieces.
Yeah, and like I'm in a committed relationship. Stop making me think of you naked. Like I don't want to think of you naked. Fuck.
Dude, remember when I talked about the girl taking off the little resistance band or whatever? And I was like, that's the same motion you do when you take off your underwear.
How about the skin tone leggings? Have you seen girl? I literally saw a girl on the elliptical and her leggings were the same. Or the Stairmaster, her leggings were the same color as her skin, and she was wearing this like long, not really long. It was like it wasn't a long t-shirt, but it wasn't a crop top. It was like right in the middle. So it was basically.
So it was a t-shirt.
Sure. Yes. Anyway, it was right at her fucking waist, and I thought she was on the fucking elliptical with no pants.
A t-shirt that hits your waist?
I thought she was legitimately wearing no pants. I literally stopped. I like skirted. I was like, is this chick not wearing pants? Like, what is going on right now?
It happens. Dude, it happens for sure. Dude, that's why I'm grateful I do yoga with like a bunch of moms.
Yeah, otherwise you'd be getting like you couldn't do any moves because your boner would be like
well,
poking out your
the thing
pants.
about boners is like if you like, so for example, if you ever get a random occurring boner, if you like intentionally flex one of your large muscle groups, blood will rush away.
For example, NRB, the no reason boners.
Yeah, the no reason boner. Like, so if you're like in class and you have like a massive boner, like literally like flex your butt cheeks or flex your pecs, like a large muscle group,
to get the blood,
and it will make blood flow away. When you're doing yoga, it's very hard to get a boner. Like I've never got like you see it visually like nice, but you're not like boing, like like you're not Woody Woodpecking. You're not berbering in the middle of class. No, there's actually interestingly enough, there is a yoga studio in New York City that does naked yoga.
Really?
Yes. I looked into this because I was curious about it because I was like,
I can't imagine the smell.
I think it would be I think the clothing honestly might even make it worse sometimes.
Because
sometimes like your clothes like retain smells that only come out once they get like heat. Anyways, but I
got some shirts like that. It's really annoying.
Dude, by the way, hilarious blooper for the patrons out there on this next blooper reel. Richard was doing squats and farted.
Yes. Wasn't there also when...
And you go, it's good for humping. when you're doing the thing with Maria. Yeah, I'm like editing the new video. Anyways, but let me continue. So the naked yoga studio, there's the main lobby, then there's like a locker room, and then there's like the studio.
So there's like a buffer zone.
So there's like a buffer zone.
Kind of like like going to the pool at a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean it's like a locker room, but it's unisex. Like it's I think there's a bathroom and stuff, but like there's an area like before the studio where like people are naked or not or whatever. And it's funny because like a lot of the comments are like, well, and also the yoga studio itself is like darkly lit once you're in there, so it's not like spotlight on the freaking butthole. Like it's dark in there apparently, but I mean the point of it is to just be very as like literally as like open and as like whatever as possible. Blah blah blah. Nature. We're not going to be inhibited by social norms. We're just going to be ourselves and use and wear our birthday suits. But anyways,
there's probably a lot of bush.
Probably a lot of bush. But anyways, I was reading reviews like because I was like, what are people saying about this? And a lot of people say like in the beginning, like before the class, it can be like
a little sexual tension, a little bit.
I don't even know about that because I think the people that go there regularly are like they fill the classes. I mean, like a yoga studio is typically not all walk-ins. Like people are regulars there. So it's like, oh hey Jim, like like
seen your dick a few times.
Yeah, like penis looking good today, Jim. Nice, But anyways, apparently once you get into it, it's like very hard to. It's very hard to get like super aroused and stuff because you're like doing the moves and like trying not to die. So. Yeah, and honestly though, I've thought about that because like sometimes I'm sweating so profusely. I'm like, this shirt is not doing anything for me right now. Like or like these, anything. You're just like, I should just like sweat onto my towel. Like it kind of makes sense in some certain ways. I was tempted. I was like tempted. I'm like, if I was ever in New York City, it'd be kind of fun to do that. I don't know. It'd be an interesting
experience. Didn't you go to like a nude sauna one time with some girl? Like
No, I was just telling you about that.
Oh, okay.
No, but pretty much all the saunas in Europe, from what I know, are nude saunas for the most part.
They're unisex.
But anyways,
can you show us that TikTok? I want to see that TikTok.
Which TikTok?
The
Bang Energy one?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. I didn't download it, so give me a second.
All right, because
it's pretty good.
All you people.
There's a rant that I think I could do for the last 3 minutes, but let me show this real fast.
Well, if this doesn't fit, then just rant.
This fits. It's a totally rant. It's an off-topic rant. But here's the TikTok. The TikTok in question. Here, 1 second. Yeah, let me turn my volume back up. Okay, here we go.
What up, guys? Good morning. It's a great day to drink Bang Energy. I said it. Let my mother go.
So anyone who follows any fitness people on social media will know that Bang Energy is
the herpes of the industry.
Pervasive. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit don't go away. Anyways, last rant I want to make. Let's talk about iOS 14.
Oh, I don't know anything about this. Go for it.
Let me tell you.
Isn't there some like I can tap on the back a few times to like make things happen or some shit.
Oh,
like
I don't
that.
give a fuck about any of that shit.
Oh, what
I'm going to tell you about is why the fuck every girl is turning their phone into a really shitty Android skin from 2013.
Oh, that's like a thing you can do on the...
You can now customize your whole home screen any
but
way you want.
Does that include apps?
Even with widgets.
Oh, so it makes it look like a 2013 Android?
And it's tacky as fuck. The thing that Apple resisted first, dude, it's literally
It's
like
a jailbreak crew,
you
man.
became the thing you swore to destroy.
Yeah.
It's literally that shit. But the thing is that they let you do it in such a fucked up roundabout way that it's so annoying. Like on Android, you can download custom app skins. Like you can just download an app skin pack that lets you, it's a designer came up with alternate logos for all the apps, so then you can make it look like it's all doodles
About
and
this
shit.
update, Jesus Christ. This is
It's a big update. It's a big update. I'm not going to go into all this, but I just want to rant on all the fucking people that are always like, well, I don't care about customization. That's why I use an iPhone. I don't really care about that. Meanwhile, every fucking girl right now is like, here's how I made my aesthetic home screen. And it's just like, how hypocritical can you fucking get? Because I know people that have, like, it's just so, look at these thumbnails. You look at the Explore page right now. Look, iOS 14, new iOS 14, aesthetic tutorial, step-by-step themed iPhone background, iOS 14.
People are just on that fucking
It was more the other day.
They're
It was more the other
they're
day.
just on
All
some-
of them.
They're just on some trend shit.
But the thing is like people, and the funny thing is like the way that they let you do it is such a roundabout fucked up way. The only way you can get a custom app icon is by going into like Siri shortcuts and creating a shortcut that just launches the app. So really you're just tapping a picture that's a shortcut to launch an app. It's so fucking stupid. And like it's just like, if you're gonna go full Android, just go full Android.
I don't know about you, but I don't spend any time on my home screen. I open up my home screen to go into an app.
Well, that's
and
why
once I'm in the app, ta-da! Like I'm never once gonna be like, oh, let me just spend a few 45 minutes just
here's the thing.
flicking around on my
Every
shit.
time you open your phone, it's opening to the home screen, so you want it to look aesthetic.
I don't care. I don't care.
I know you don't fucking care.
I don't care
I'm
about
saying
many
it's
things.
just hilarious how like people change their tune so quickly because Apple did it. It's like, I don't really care about widgets are stupid. Oh, now I can have widgets. It's just like so fucking dumb. And everyone is like so hypocritical. But anyways, that's just like, I just saw that and I just laughed so hard because like I'm over the home screen customization thing because I like went through that phase when I was in like high school and had an Android phone. And it's just so funny to me that like, this is all the Explore page on YouTube was tutorials on how to customize your home screen.
I mean, when I used to jailbreak back in 2013, that was one of the things you could do. It was like,
yeah, of course.
You could
you had to jailbreak it because they weren't going to let you.
Yeah. You could reskin it and add widgets and like you could make it look like anything. Like
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And you can do that on Android out the box. You don't have to jailbreak it.
And there's even app themes.
Yeah.
sounds like jailbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Android Android is the Wild West, dude. They'll let you kind of do anything.
Literally, that was one of the reasons like I stopped jailbreaking is because all the things
gets annoying.
No, all the things I was jailbreaking for
they released
became native, and I was like
notification shade.
Yeah,
like literally the pull down notifications.
Yeah, I mean there was literally so many things that I was like jailbreaking for, and then they started releasing it. So whenever I would like re-jailbreak again, I would have like maybe like 9 tweaks instead of 10, and then it would like the next update I'd be like 5 tweaks, and then it got to the point.
It's just not worth it.
It got to the point, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this.
It's
anymore.
like now I don't care that if I triple tap my up volume button, it launches Facebook. I'll just fucking click Facebook.
But now that feature it exists now.
I know.
Like,
well, the thing that I like with widgets is like, for example, on my screen, I've got like my podcast player, my SoundCloud player, and my Audible player. So like I know that I can just scroll over and start playing whatever I want, or like things like that.
Yeah.
Or like my notes are always in my home screen. I don't have to launch an app, like it's just there. So if I need my like groceries, it's like pinned to the top. Anyways, doesn't matter. I just thought it was hilarious that like every, that all the Explore page on YouTube is all about how to customize your home screen. And
that's
I'm like,
also people
welcome to Android 9 years ago.
on just a bandwagon.
Yahoo!
It's all about the
You did it, Tim Apple. You finally released Android from 9 years ago. Round of applause. Yahoo! Follow some places.
Yep.